What did you learn in film school that you didn't already know?
I think film school certainly taught me like a lot of the important basics of, cinematography, of lighting, of, making sure the microphones work in the best way. But I do think it also taught me how to be resourceful, because I think for me, certainly something that happened was our film school didn't have, a giant budget, didn't have a giant production closet with all the gear we needed and everything like that. A lot of times it would just be like, here's the assignment, make sure you find a way to make it happen. And that's just the way it went. And, I think a lot of people might see that as a drawback. But to me, like having those creative restrictions kind of opened up the freedom a little bit, and it allowed me to sort of understand the way that I would later be making a lot of films in the quote unquote real world. And I like that I didn't ever get comfortable in the film school bubble, because I know a lot of people that get in the film school bubble, and then when it pops after graduation, they're like, what? The real world is crazy. There's not people wanting to hold my hand and provide a full lighting kit and makeup department. It's fine, like, that's one way to do it. And I truly think there's no right or wrong way, but I just know for me that seemed to resonate the most with what I was doing.
So you appreciated having to be scrappy and find things and resourceful and not things being so easily provided.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, like the scrappiness was almost the fun of it. It was almost like solving a puzzle. And certainly like there's a lot of headache that comes with the scrappiness, and it's not glamorous. And I mean, you're not gonna sell people on filmmaking on the scrappiness alone unless they've gone through it. On paper, if you're just describing it to someone, I think a lot of times people would be like, why would you want to do that? Why would you put yourself through that? But I think when you're surrounded with good people, which is majorly important, like making sure the people on your crew, the actors, they're all in the same headspace with you. If you're in a project with them for extended periods of time, and you're like staying for late hours and eating like cheap meals around a campfire in the woods if you're shooting on location, like, I mean, you got to make sure you like the people. But yeah, I think it's like when you finally get those circumstances aligned, for me the scrappiness is kind of like a runner's high. Like it's like, oh hey, we figured it out, we were able to do it despite the setback or the challenge. So I always say, like, be open to being scrappy, because I think it's a good skill set.
Have you always been like that with other things where you like problem solving in some capacity? Like if stuff's too easy, it's almost boring.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I feel like if something is too easy, you're right, it is a little bit boring. And I think like a lot of times there's a perception, right, that things have to come easy, or things, if you're doing it right, if you're successful, then, you're sipping, drinks at the beach, and you're not thinking about things. And, and that's fine for like, I don't know, like a week, a year maybe, but the rest of the year, like I really do enjoy a challenge. Like I think that's why I enjoy filmmaking so much, is because trying to frame a tiny portion of the world in the camera in this little rectangle, like that's it, and that's the challenge. But it's funny, like it sometimes is so all encompassing. Like a lot of times I will like have to stop myself and be like, wow, what I'm doing is kind of ridiculous. Like, we're all trying to pull this weird shot off, and you have to be able to almost like laugh at yourself and be like, this is, a little silly, but at the end of the day, it matters, and it's, the little tool you take to tell the larger story. And I think it's like being able to zoom out in that fashion that I think is invaluable, just to kind of put, broader context into what you're attempting to do as a storyteller.
What did film school not teach you that maybe there would be no class on it, you just had to find out on your own?
Yeah.
There's no curriculum that could have showed you that.
Yeah. I think film school, it didn't always teach me about the way the hardship hits you when you get out. I knew it would be difficult to, get funding, and I knew it would be difficult If I went and did the film festival circuit, because, there's certainly a lot of rejection. There's certainly a lot of different things that happen there. But I think a lot of times they don't prepare you for the way to deal with it. And that's, no slight against a film school. That's not really their thing. That almost borders into like mental health. But I think there is some of that in the film industry that maybe deserves to be talked about. It's that it's okay to get rejected. It's okay to make a film and have a couple hundred views on YouTube and call it a day. I think one of the things I've learned is that you really can't get caught into your own work so much as an artist, because the goal, like I mentioned earlier, for me at least, is to just create a body of work and keep things moving forward at all times and kind of continuing a forward momentum. And I feel like a lot of times if you get too analytical with yourself, you stop moving forward and you stay really stagnant. And it's challenging because, these films, a lot of times, they're very personal stories and they're things that we truly, put our all into. And so I think at the end of the day, it's certainly understandable that we care a lot about them and we want them to be the best that they can be. But, I think at a certain point, you also need to know when to walk away. Like, at a certain point, you need to say, okay, this car I've been driving, I need to leave it on the side of the road and get a new car, and it's always difficult to do. And I think a lot of times, it's going to be a different point for everyone, but it's finding ways to make sure that you are always going forward. I think that's one of the biggest challenges in filmmaking. Yeah.
And I understand you love The Office, the TV show, The Office.
I do. Yeah, I love The Office. I love it because it's so random. And I think that another thing I love about it is it does a very good job of being funny, but also being very sincere at times too. And I love bait and switch. For me, every time I make a movie, I think I bill it a little bit differently than people end up maybe taking away from the final product. A lot of times people will say, oh, that looks like a comedy, and they'll walk away and be like, that was a drama, wasn't it? Or vice versa. I like to kind of switch things out and kind of blend the line a little bit and keep it blurry with genre. And I think, yeah, the Office, like, it does an exceptional job at that sometimes.
So let's say you've written a feature script and you are going to be flown to Scranton, PA to use all of the cast as their characters. Who would you appoint as the director?
Oh, man. I actually think Stanley would be a great director. Stanley from The Office, because he's very no nonsense. He just wants to get it done. And I think a lot of times that's undervalued, is that kind of workman like attitude, because I think you would think, oh, someone super charismatic or someone super artistic may be better. But I think a lot of times just realizing that, like, this is a thing that needs to get done. A, B, and C need to be checked off, and then you go home and then you make your art. I think sometimes that's undervalued a lot of times. So I think he would be very good at keeping the train on the track. Yeah.
And if there was conflict on set, as there sometimes is, what do you think that dynamic, what would happen if you had all those characters, and who would come in and fix it? Who would save the day?
Man, I think Pam would be very good at mediating conflict. I think she would be able to say, okay, this is a dumb argument. We need to stop. We need to get back on track. I think like Michael and Dwight would probably be the ones stirring the pot a lot. Maybe even Kevin inadvertently. But yeah, I really want to see a Office episode like as a film set. I think that would be amazing.
And one last question, then we'll move on about this. So then if there was a film screening and everybody got to attend, what would the red carpet be like? Who'd be the one that would take the most time with all the answers on the red carpet?
Oh, man. I think Creed. I think Creed would take a lot of time. And I think Creed would take selfies with every person that asked. And he would give them like a different fact about himself that you would not know. I see Creed as being like the wild card people person of that crew.